I hurt my wrist at the gym, and I'm like an old lady now. I'm not kidding.
You were like an
My-
old lady now?
Yes, like I can't. I feel like I have arthritis. Like I'll go to like pick up a cup. I'm like, it just happened as you were coming over. I was like, I'm like on camera. I'm like, sorry, I have a broken wrist on my knee.
Going to the gym, you know, I'm an old lady now.
Literally.
Oh my
Anyway,
God, that's funny. That's funny.
That's how we start.
Do you want to switch sides so you can use the cup in your other hand?
I'm just gonna hold it. Anyway.
Okay. Thanks for my Starbucks. This is really heavenly right now.
Yeah, my pleasure.
It's like starting off our podcast just right.
And you know, we should make it a thing. Some coffee and some.
Maybe sometimes we'll throw in some champagne. Oh, maybe.
Maybe if we film on like. Nah, it doesn't matter what day.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I'm just kidding.
I mean, we're in real estate and mortgage. What is what is time anymore?
Ends in Y.
You can drink at 9 a.m. You can drink at 12 midnight or noon,
Yeah.
midnight, whatever you want.
Midnight, yeah.
When I'm up working on contracts, yeah, drink some wine.
I like that. I mean, we've had mimosas and marketing. We had that event, so it was 10 o'clock in the morning, and people were drinking and learning about how to market themselves.
And technically, we started this whole podcast idea while drinking wine, so might be onto something. Great ideas happen when you're drinking wine.
They make signs like that in gift shops.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Well,
So,
you want to begin?
huh?
Tell
Yeah.
all the peoples who you is.
Yeah. Well, I'm Gibby Eagle. I'm born and raised in Southwest Florida. Been in real estate for about 10 years now. And yeah, just living the dream. I think that's probably how you say it.
I mean, we kind of do live where people want to vacation.
I know.
So
Yeah, it really is great. It is. It's awesome. I love what I do. I'm passionate about it, and I weirdly like studying the market. So
I'm not shocked by that. Your research skills are top notch.
Yeah.
Well, I'm Alexandra King. I am your local lender, so I am a mortgage loan officer with NRL Mortgage. Gibby and I go way back, actually.
Yeah.
I met you, probably 2016?
Yeah, I think that's about right. Well, when we met actually doing CrossFit, right?
Yeah.
So I don't even remember. That was seems like ages ago.
I started at the ATC 2015.
Okay.
So I think I met you
2015,
between
2016.
2016.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I've been in the mortgage industry since 2020. That was a segue for me into, from what I used to do.
What you used to do?
I was a forensic scientist.
Wow.
So yeah,
going from forensic science to mortgage.
It's weird. Do you know how many people, when I tell people that, they go, wait, you were the real CSI? Why did you quit? That's the question they ask me all the time. And I'm like, I hate to tell you this, Karen, but what you see on TV is nothing like.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
It's not like people say all the time, oh, working for the state's horrible, this and that, but you get a pension. I mean, people are lazy. Half of that is true and half of it's not. I mean, not everyone is lazy that works for the state, but I will tell you that it is very specific. So you need to do what they say, how they say it, when they say it.
Oh, yeah.
There's no deviation. There is no thinking outside the box. The way it's done is the way it's done because that's how they say, no matter if it makes sense or not.
Yeah.
And as a person, I have a hard time with that because I'm looking for efficiency.
Yeah.
In any aspect of my life. Why would you do things that are 10 times harder just because that's the way it's always been done, So I just guess my mindset and the way I wanted to work did not fit in with what I was allowed in the scope of
anything
things.
that has to do with government or anything. I mean, they have regulations and rules. So it's like, you want to think it's going to be fun, like on the shows or movies, but it's like, no, there's very specifics you have to follow, or you could, potentially have a lawsuit or whatever. You could get yourself in a lot of trouble. So
exactly. I mean, you've seen things all over the news, people dry labbing, aka they're so overwhelmed with work and there's so many metrics to meet that they literally look at a drug and say, oh, that looks like crystal meth, and they write it in the report and they move on. You're right. You could literally get your whole entire lab shut down by not doing things appropriately.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, obviously that's the same thing in the mortgage industry at a different scale. With real estate. I mean, we're talking people's money with contracts.
But now it's like your business. You can run it how you want to, rather than I am working for, the government and I have to be on their, their rules and regulations, their schedule. yes, you have them, but you can kind of run your business how you want to.
Exactly. Think outside the box. Do
Yeah.
things differently. Sit down and drink some coffee and have
Yeah.
do a podcast with you.
Yeah,
know,
drink some wine and decide we want to do a podcast. And here we are sitting 3 weeks later. So
exactly. The rules and regulations, but on our terms.
Yeah, our terms.
I
Exactly.
think is incredible. So
yeah.
But yeah, so I've been since 2020. You know, I entered the industry, started as an assistant, got my mortgage license. You know, I'm really blessed to have Giovanni as my mentor. He's been in the industry almost 20 years, and he really has seen it all.
Okay.
So he basically took me under his wing and showed me everything.
Mm-hmm.
So he's somebody that I really look up to in this industry, and he's allowed me to get as far as I have today because of how knowledgeable he is.
Yeah.
And he's not afraid to share that
Mm-hmm.
with the people, you know, that he basically, employs, if you think about it. So, but not even just that. I've heard him talk to other loan officers that don't even work for him. He's just awesome like that. He's really good.
Yeah. I mean, when I came in a few weeks ago and sat in here and did some work, I can tell, like, when you were like, hey, I have a question, or he's on the phone with someone, it's just very calm and like, yeah, I want to help you, you know.
Exactly. So. We're all about the solution. We want to help people. And if we can't help you now, we're going to put a plan in action to get you to where you want to be. So I really appreciate that that's how he was. That's how he's taught me to be. So, you know, I love it.
Yeah. And so why did you choose a mortgage? I mean, coming out of forensics and then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I have a dream to do mortgage. You know
it's funny. It's, you know, it was more so. So when I was in the forensic field, obviously I was very regulated. I was like in a box. There was no windows, nothing. But I had the ability to shadow Ashley Matita, who is the owner of Sunrise Insurance, which who you know also. We used to, well, she's my best friend, but we also all used to work out together. So small world.
I know.
I had the ability to actually shadow her in her business when she was first growing her agency. So like she would help, like if I would take like a day off of work or it was a holiday, she would bring me with her to her luncheons and I would watch her put on lunch and learns and like interact, and she'd bring me to networking events. And I was like, I don't know what I want to do, but I just know I want to do something where I have the ability to connect with all of these people in spaces, professional settings like this. Like I like this. So funny enough, Giovanni, who obviously Ashley and Giovanni got married after, you know, she was at our gym and all of that. But he got to know me as a person, obviously, because they were dating. And he was like, I think you'd be perfect in the mortgage industry. Like you're detail oriented, but you're a people person. And I'm looking for someone to come assist me. You know, like you would start off as a loan officer assistant. You could learn the business if you like it.
Yeah.
You know, you're miserable where you're working. Like, what do you think? We talked about it for almost a year.
Wow.
So he actually approached me with it. And I was like, well, I don't know anything about mortgages. He's like, trust me. Nobody does when they enter the industry. You just got to kind of, one of those things where you just got to learn as you go and make sure you have a team behind you that will be able to back you up and help you.
Yeah.
So that way.
Absolutely.
You don't want things blowing up in your face.
No.
I mean, you have a basis, but you know what I mean? Like certain things you learn as you progress. So,
especially jumping into an industry where it's like, okay, I'm going into being an entrepreneur. That's terrifying. So it's like you are walking into mortgage, and if you don't have someone guiding you in the beginning, I don't feel people will last because you're walking in blindsided. Like, where do I begin? How do I start? You know,
what do I say?
Yeah.
And you're so right. Because he would always say, don't worry about the process of the mortgage. Sell the deal first.
Yep.
You know, bring in that client. And
fake it till you make it.
Well, I guess yes. But we always had a team in place so that we're going to pick up, you know, where the new loan officer left off. And I'm thankful that I learned backwards. Not backwards, but I learned the back end of things first. So I think that makes me a better loan officer because I literally know I started like closing deals basically myself once the loan officer passed off their clients to me. So from start to finish, I know what we need to get things done. And I'm thankful for that because a lot of the times loan officers are like, well, I can sell anything. So I'll just sell this mortgage, but they have no idea how it works. Yeah. They don't know the documents. They don't know the process. Yeah, sure, they're great. They're fun, this, that, and the other. They have a great personality. Probably could sell ice to an Eskimo. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like if you're missing that backbone of like
for sure
what you actually need, you are probably not going to make it the easiest process for the client.
Absolutely. Yeah. No.
So that's just a little tidbit that why I'm thankful I started like on the back end to then to the end. So
well, it's like you said, it's like you know get the deal, you know, just get it in and then we'll figure it out, you know. But again, you have the backbone. If you have questions, they're there to help you. Like I can tell Giovanni would never just let something just burned to the ground.
No. God, no. In my personality, I will, if he's not going to answer me, somebody will.
Yeah.
I'm like, this ain't burning today. We're going to figure it out.
I'll go to the ends of the earth before this happens.
Oh, girl, trust me. I've had several deals I've had to do that on. We've come up with, and that's the thing. There always is a solution, but whether or not the client wants that solution is always, where we're gonna end up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so it was a weird leap, but I know. So for you, I remember when we used to talk back in like the 2015, 2016 days. I know you were at PF Chang's. You were a bartender, right?
Yeah.
And I never came to see you at work, but I knew that's where you worked.
Yeah.
And I knew you were dabbling in real estate at that time, correct?
Yeah. So I got my real estate license in 2014.
Okay.
And I was still bartending at PF Chang. So I actually went to college at FGCU. I actually started with criminal forensics.
I did not know that.
I literally went into, signed up for chemistry, went in to do our first exam. And we had round tables. So, sitting with a bunch of other students, and I'm a horrible test taker. And I'm not good with math. Okay. It's just, so chemistry with the numbers and letters and all that stuff together. I remember sitting at the round table, and all of a sudden everyone there just started staring at me like, are you okay? I literally broke out in hives. Like my face turned red, and I was like, I'm about to have a panic attack. Like, I can't do this. Like, I didn't even wait to get my first grade back for the exam. I went straight to the office and dropped. I'm like, nope, not for me. But then I got into political science, business management. And when I graduated college, so I worked full time while I was in school, and I went to school full time. So when I graduated college, like I tried to apply for jobs left and right every day. And everywhere I applied, they said, you need to have an internship. And I'm like working full time and going to school full time should be considered an internship. Like I don't have time for that. And, that shows work, your work ethic. But so about a year into that, I was like, this is ridiculous. So I was working at PF Chang's bartending, and one of my regulars came in all the time, and he would just sit with me, and he's like, you need to get into real estate. Like you have the personality for it. I just know you do well. Like my dad was in real estate, my uncle, a lot of my family, and it's just been in my genes. So kept putting off. I'm like, I can't afford it. I just, this is my safety net. Bartending, like getting that cash every week and just knowing like my bills are paid. So finally, I just got so tired of bartending. It was just like something hit me, and I'm like, he came in one day and I said, because he said, I want to pay for it. Like, I want you to go to school. I will pay for it. And that's how, like, he was like, I want to invest in you because I know you'll be good at it. So like a month or two went by, and I called him. I'm like, hey, does that offer still stand? He's like, absolutely. I'll be in tonight. Handed me cash, and that was it. And when I had my first deal, I paid him back with interest, because I was just like, it was just like, thank you, but I don't want it to feel like a handout. Like, so I paid him back with interest. I think I gave him a referral fee. It was like 25%. So yeah,
I love that.
So yeah, so it was, so that started. And so when I was at PF Chang's, anytime I made a sale in real estate, I put it into my savings account, and then the bartending paid my bills. So once I had enough money saved up for about 6 months to a year, I decided to leave. And I was like, all right, I'm doing this. Like, bills are paid. So I've told you about my relationship I was in then.
Yes.
So the day I get home, because he knew I was quitting, he comes home and says he quit his job too. And I'm like, knowing that I had all that money saved up. So it was just like one of those things. I'm like, oh my God, like this isn't going to work out the way I expected. Made it happen. But
wow.
Yeah, I would say for about 3 years, I really just buckled down like every day, just trying every odd and end, videos and just anything I could do to, door knocking, cold calling. Like I tried everything. And so I would say about 3 years in, it just really started to reap the rewards. Like I've always say, consistency is key. And like, if you're not getting the feedback you want in the first 6 months, a year, whatever, like keep going, like it'll pay off at some point.
There's a lot of people that step out of this business because within the first 6 months to a year, they feel like they're making no progress.
Yeah.
But it's so true. It's not the short game, it's the long game.
Yeah. So
what methods were the most successful for you? Do you feel like between like the door knocking, the cold calling, I don't know, because I have, in my brain, it's like, I know this business is hello.
I mean, there's some people are so old school. They say door knock, cold call, like all that. that makes me
I
uncomfortable.
hate that too.
And
So that's what I'm asking.
yeah, it's like I will not be good at a career or job if I have to do something I don't like. Like people always say, oh, if you love your job, you don't work a day in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not going to wake up and cold call and door knock. Like that makes me uncomfortable because when people knock on my door and the person crawling across the floor, peeking out in the window,
Right,
seeing
you're
who
like,
it is, I'm like, I don't want to talk to you. So like, I don't want to do that to someone else. And I've had instances where I literally see someone peeking through the window and I'm like, this is really freaking awkward. But, you know, and it's, I've picked up the, yeah. Like I see you there when I'm act like I don't because I'm uncomfortable. But, you know, and then it's like cold calling people. It's like, it just makes me uncomfortable. So I sat down with my broker and he's like, what do you like doing? I'm like, I love, you know, just socializing and I'm always on social media. Like I love promoting local businesses and all this stuff. And he's like, then do it. So then I started like, well, yeah, why not? Like so many people are on social media every day, scrolling aimlessly.
Yeah.
So it was like, I really was like, I'm on it every day. Why don't I make it a part of my business? So
yeah, I love that.
I got rid of all the old school stuff. Like people would ask me like, how much money do you spend in marketing every year? I'm like $0. Like, you know, Facebook, like Facebook and all of it. It's like, it can be free marketing if you stay in front of people. So that, in all honesty, has been my saving grace and made it more interesting for me to, you know, wake up and enjoy like making, you know, doing real estate, you know?
Yeah, well, especially if it works for you and you're seeing the benefits. I mean, but you're so right. It is the long game. And it's a grind.
Yeah, it is. And it's discouraging all the time. Like your job and my job, I feel, is like a very secluding business. Like you practically work alone, you know, because you could work from home if you want to. You could have a home office and work from home, but you decide to come in and work with a team because that's so, you know, just being around people, like-minded people. They say who you surround yourself with, you know, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. I mean, so it can be very discouraging sometimes, you know, you have slow months, you have busy months, you have like months where you're like, I don't know what to do. And then all of a sudden the next month it's like, okay, we're back. Okay. Why was I worrying? Why was I freaking out?
Yeah. No, I feel like I had one of those months in June. We had a great first quarter and then, you know, it slowed a little, but then I was like, and then I lost the deal. So it just, you know, unfortunately that happens in this business. And I feel like it can be very discouraging. Yeah. Especially when you've worked so hard. Like, I mean, I'm sure you've lost contracts at the last minute.
Oh, absolutely.
Loans not closing. And I mean, we all have, but it's like in those moments, like, what do you do with that discouragement? You know, do you just be like, that's it, turn off my phone for the rest of the day? Or
like, I'm going to go pity party and lay in my bed and, you know,
exactly.
sulk.
So, I mean, that's how I felt the first like 2 days after the fact.
Oh, yeah. You know, yeah. And it's okay to take days where you're like, you know what, I'm shutting down. Like, I need to regroup. Like, because sometimes if you're that frustrated, like, it's almost like you need to take, because I'm a big advocate of mental health. Like you need to take that time to process and like, all right, how can I handle that differently? Or what can I do? And it's like, if you know, so sometimes it's okay. Like if you feel like you do want to crawl under your blanket for a day and cry, like next day, like, all right, we're done. Get back to work.
Get back. And that's the thing. You have to get back to it for sure. But I don't know, just all of that to say, you're right. It can be very secluding. And even so when you have those losses like that, it's so important to surround yourself with people that can bring you back up. Yeah,
like, hey, let's talk about this.
Yeah,
like, you know, and you bounce experiences off each other and realize, all right, I'm not alone in this. Like, okay, we all deal with it. But
we do.
Yeah, and we talked about it too. It's like my first quarter was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And I'm like, whoo, like every year I'm like, this is my best year yet. This is my best year yet. After quarter one, I was like, all right, we're going back to square one. This might be my worst year yet, you know, but it's like, now it's like, I haven't had a closing since, well, I don't even, what month are we in? It was May, but was the beginning of May, you know? So, I mean, that's almost 2 months now where it's like, but now all of a sudden it's like, I get a call, hey, why don't you list my house? Hey, someone referred me. And I'm like, all right, we're coming back.
Exactly.
But it's just,
exactly.
Both of these are those jobs or careers that you have to be like, you know, I'm prepared for these slow months, but it's like you have to remind yourself every time it happens. Like, this happened last year. Okay, it happened the year before. Right. I'm still here. I'm fine.
Right. You're like, am I bad at my job? Do I need to go to? I'm like, I'm going to work for Publix. Yeah. That's it.
I know. I'm like, I'm going back to PF Chang's. Hopefully they'll take me back. I know I'm a little rusty now, but
that's it. Literally. And then, like you said, like then you have all these people like, oh yeah, we're finally putting in offers, and like I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you work with these same clients for months after month, and like obviously you want them to find the house of their dreams, but sometimes you're just like,
Yeah.
wait, like what are we gonna ever move forward?
Yeah, like,
and I don't say that like it's obviously it's for the client.
no, absolutely.
You know,
But
I want the best for the client, but in our
it's
business,
easy to
sometimes
get frustrated.
it is. Sometimes you're just like, oh gosh, okay, well, hopefully this, you know, turns into something. 'Cause, you know, we don't get paid unless things close.
Yeah.
I think people don't realize that sometimes.
Yeah, and again, it is about the client, but you're a human being. It's okay to be like, all right, I'm doing everything I can to get you what you want, and it's just not working.
It's not working. Like, how do I'm like, and I can't.
I don't know if it's you or me, or if it's me or you know, it's just like it's not you, it's me. Okay.
Yeah. Famous breakup line. It's not you, it's me. Oh, I just touched the mic. Sorry. But yeah, so I'm so thankful that things are starting to move again because I'm seeing it as well.
Yeah.
Like, definitely talk to a few realtors, say like, oh yeah, my friend's about to buy, or oh, we're putting in an offer. I'm like, thank you, Lord.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think things are going to pick up a little bit for the summer for both of us.
Well, I'm going to just double check blooper here. I'm going to just make sure our camera's still rolling.
Can you imagine? We're like, we just filmed all that for nothing.
We're good. All right. Woohoo!
We're new here.
Coffee break.
Yeah, like, quick.
But yeah, it's just quarter. And and two, I talked to another real estate agent the other day who's a good friend of mine. Been friends for a long time. We don't talk as much as we should, but we picked up the phone and I called him, and it was just like finally talking to a real estate agent that's not full of shit. It's like, like you don't always have to fake it or act like, everything's great. Like me, I'm just always about being vulnerable because that's how people relate, Yeah. If you're constantly acting like everything's just hunky dory,
right?
It's like, I can't imagine what that does to your own mind, but it also to other people. It's like, if we're all honest, it's like, we're all in the same boat. Like maybe it isn't that great, but people always feel like they have to like I have clients call me, how's real estate? I'm like, well, it's the first time I've ever seen anything like this in 10 years. Yeah. I'm not going to be like, oh, yeah, it's great. I'm just selling left and right. Closed like 3 deals last week. Like, no, it's not like that.
Right. No, and like I super respect the fact that you're willing to say that as well. And I feel the same way. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, yeah, I'm closing all the loans in June. I'm not. Yeah. And I'm okay with saying that. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes people get afraid or are not okay with being vulnerable because they're going to think that people aren't. Yeah. They're afraid that people are going to think they're not good at their jobs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they're not closing or acting like they're closing and I think the reality is it makes you more relatable. It makes
That's
you
what it
human,
is. Like
people want to do business with who they like and trust.
Yeah.
So that vulnerability, if anything, I think it's actually more beneficial to your relationships.
Too. For sure.
I mean, it's I loved there was another loan officer that actually posted something on Facebook very similar to what we're just discussing.
Yeah.
And he was super vulnerable, saying, you know what, like I have never been this slow. And I think that it's important that we all just lift each other up in this time and not pretend like we're doing things that we're not.
Absolutely.
And basically making the point like, this is how relationships are built, through vulnerability. And I was like, thank you for saying that.
Because then people feel more comfortable, like just like, you know what, I want to work with you because you are honest and you make me feel comfortable. Because there are some real estate agents that I feel like I don't think I could work with them because they're always so like up on a high horse or like just, it's just like it's just sometimes they're just too abrasive. It's just, like we all have mistakes. We all have days where we're just not feeling it. We all have those months, and it's like you make people more comfortable when you're allowed to like just. Right.
Yeah, exactly. We don't always need to be on our highlight reels. Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of the things about social media. Yeah, it's so cool. It's so great. You can promote yourself, but it's a lot of highlight reels.
It is.
It's not a lot of like conversations like this where we're like, yep, it's been kind of crappy this last month and a half.
It's like, come compare yourself to us and realize that you're not alone.
You're not.
Because those highlight reels you're looking at, you're like, man, what could I be doing to be like that? Or, be at that point in my life. I'm like, I don't think it's as perfect as they make it out to be.
It's definitely not.
No,
it's definitely not. But no, I'm thankful for you and your vulnerability. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, and that's what's funny is that when we hung out a couple weeks ago, it was like, worked for a couple hours. We're like, let's just go, do a little video and do a little support local type because we both like to, support a lot of local businesses and, just be out in the community. It's like, it's what it is. Like, and it's, it's helpful to get your name out there, but it's also people enjoy that type of content. Like, just providing, good, stuff that people will actually enjoy reading, or seeing, like, oh, I want to go check out that restaurant. So we were drinking wine and just laughing and just finishing each other's sentences, like looking at each other and just giggling. And it's like, wow, like I've missed you. We haven't hung out in so long. And it's like, all of a sudden it's like, we should do a podcast.
Obviously. We're like, we haven't seen each other. We should do a podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what friends do now these days, right? Create a podcast.
I heard all the cool people are doing.
And I appreciate your personality because you're like ready to go the next day. And
I'm like, all right, let's go.
I woke up with the worst cold I haven't had something like that in a long time.
I felt so bad. I was like, well, I'm not sick, so I couldn't have given
no, someone even blamed me the other day for getting them sick. I'm like, I stayed home when I was sick, so I don't understand. You've been around so many other people since then. Like, I'm not really sure. It was definitely me. But yeah, it's just, I don't even remember. Oh, just because you like, all right, what are we doing? Like, let's start it. And here I am, like, I'm a little hyperventilating a bit. I get itchy. I got to do research. How do we start a podcast? Oh, we need intro music. We need outro music. We need this, and we need an editor, and it was just like, all right, like I'll never start if you don't just do it. Like,
I was like, tell me what we need. I'll ask around.
I was like, I don't even know. I'm just overwhelming myself. It's just what I do.
I was like, I don't know. I'm just going to show up to a table and start talking.
I'm like, I have a whole like spreadsheet, and we're going to go through PowerPoint before we start, and then you can give me your ideas.
And I'm like, that's perfect because mine are in here. You're like, what? I'm like, yeah, they're in here.
No, and then I realized, I'm like, just do it.
No, I love it.
We literally came up with a name like 20 minutes ago,
so good.
30 minutes ago.
I love it.
Real talk, real life, and real estate. That way it just keeps it open,
Catchy.
Maybe one day we don't feel like talking about real estate and mortgage. We feel like having a bottle of wine and just complaining.
Yeah.
It will happen.
Oh, yeah, it'll happen. Yeah, I love that. I think our personalities are really good for one another because you will slow down and do the research, and it's not that I wouldn't do it, but I know you will.
Yeah. Well, it's different person. Opposites attract.
For sure. And I'm definitely more the like, ooh, this is a great idea. We should just sit down and talk and figure it out.
Yeah.
Or, I'll ask this person, how did you guys do it? Oh, you did it that way? Cool. We'll just get that equipment. And I'm not all about that research.
Yeah, me spending 3 hours online.
But I love
research a tripod, but I hate it. But that's just my brain. I'm just like, go down the rabbit hole, and then it's like all of a sudden like, so internet's targeting you with all the different types of tripods, and I'm like, oh my god, now I got to go back to square one.
Too many. I don't know. Like, there's so many reviews. I don't know.
Yeah. You see one bad review, you're like, that one's out.
You're like, oh, hate it. Ew.
The other 75 5-star reviews were not good enough. This one really sits well with me.
Like, I relate to that one. So no.
Let's go back to square one again.
That's great. And I'm just like, can I borrow your tripod, sir? Like down the hall.
I walk in, it's literally like I didn't really have to do any of that research. Like everything is here.
I was like, we kind of started a studio if you want to come in. Don't know how to use anything, but come on in. We'll figure it out together.
Yep.
I know. They make fun of me. I'm like the least like into technology in the office. Honestly, I love the idea of social media, but when it comes to actually physically editing and putting together content, I am not good. Like, I'm more of like this. Like, this is what I enjoy, where we can just chat and freelance, and like, I'm sure funny things and clips will come out of it.
For sure.
Like, we'll get to a point eventually. I don't know how people do it. I'm being honest with you. Like, my coworker, she's phenomenal. She does reels and puts together videos, and I'm like, I don't even know where to start. I'm the worst. So
yeah.
I'm looking to learn. And
here we are learning together.
We got to start somewhere.
Now we got to figure out how to actually get it on,
every platform. Otherwise, just us talking and listening. It's gonna be like sending the video to like our friends and family.
Have a whole like album of all of our videos. Like, well,
we tried.
No, we'll get it. We'll get it.
Listen, we have college degrees. We should be able to figure this out.
Yeah. So I'm glad we did it. Cheers. Cheers to that.
Cheers to that. We should go drink wine after this. So we wanted to also talk about the Hometown Hero program. So
I
just remembered that because
we've been getting a lot of questions about this new Hometown Hero program in Florida. Cheers to DeSantis for this. It's real estate is pretty unaffordable right now, especially for the average person making the average salary. It's just
super true.
But then so is rent. It's like
Also true.
Rent is tough, but, obviously when you buy a home, you have to come up with down payment, closing costs, yes, sometimes you can negotiate for a seller to pay them, but it's, sometimes, but so it's like this hometown hero program. I'll let you explain it just because that's your niche. Like I've learned, don't ever explain anything to do with mortgage. Like, call my mortgage girl. She'll answer the question because I will say it wrong. So I'll let you explain it. So
you're like, and tag me in.
Yeah.
No, you're correct. It's an incredible program. In a nutshell, it's 5% of whatever your loan amount is. So to put that numerically, say your loan amount was $200,000, you would get $10,000 from this program to use towards your down payment, and then the remainder could be used towards your closing costs. Okay,
and I think I read too, the minimum, if you qualify, the minimum you would get is 10 grand.
Yes, with the new program, right? So that's awesome. That's like actually a brand new caveat. So when they launched this program last year, a little back end history, because I'm very passionate about this program, only because I've watched how many lives it's changed. Like I've done several of these loans, and it's families who have great jobs, like you said, make an average salary. I mean, it's hard to survive.
And if you have kids,
exactly. If you have
dogs,
kids,
anything,
dogs, animals in general,
it's
children, like money wise sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's like they have good credit, they have good jobs. It's just, saving that nest egg to get to where they want to be. Like that's super hard. A lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck. So this program legitimately got them into a home. Usually like CNAs. I did a lot of loans for like home health aides and CNAs. Because they don't make great money, but they have good jobs and they're helping people. So all of that to say, the old program was very much occupationally based. So there was 50 different occupations that you needed to have to qualify for the program.
I think like when it first came out, it was geared toward like COVID times when, is that correct? Like it was kind of like, these are people like making it happen. Like taking care of people at, in the hospital or, firefighters having to go, it's just, they deserve it. Not that no one else does, but they, they're very important.
Yeah. They're the frontline workers that were working during COVID that were very important to, helping people during that time frame. So yes, it was totally geared towards them to begin with.
Yeah.
But the program was so successful that we actually ran out of money. So right now it's not open right now. They actually shut it down June 13th.
Okay.
Because we ran out of reserves, which is okay because they're replenishing it with another 100 million July 1. So July 1, it's a Saturday. We'll have more reserves. The 100 million will be back in there for use. And then July 3rd is a Monday. So the market will actually be open and then rates will be available again.
Okay.
So you can start locking.
So, and speaking of that, like running out of the money, from what I understand, if you refinance, you sell, or if your terms, your 30-year whatever runs out, you have to pay it back, whatever the first thing, whatever comes first, and it replenishes that account again.
The thing that
it keeps helping people.
It does. And the good thing to remember though is like you don't ever have to pay it back out of pocket. It wouldn't be like say you use 10 grand from the program. You wouldn't have to give the government 10 grand.
Okay.
You would add it back on. So say for example you're selling, you would take that money and add it on to what you already owe for your first mortgage.
Okay. All right.
To back it up a little bit, I probably should explain how it sits on the property. So I skipped a whole step.
It's like a second mortgage or something, right?
Exactly. Okay. It's a silent second. So basically, I know a lot of people get a little concerned. They're like, wait, I have to pay on this. How does that look? So you have your first mortgage. Then the money you borrow from the state sits as a second lien or a second mortgage on the property.
Okay.
But it's considered a silent second. So what that means is it doesn't amortize. You're not paying interest on it. Nothing happens. It literally will sit, like you said, until...
It's almost just like a lien on the property.
Exactly. Okay. So if you want to sell, if you want to refinance, or like you pay off your 30-year mortgage, which never happens. I don't see it.
Yeah.
I mean, often. I mean, it could, but usually our first-time home buyers are moving into something that they can like literally just use to leverage their next purchase.
Yeah.
Yeah. But basically, if you were to sell your property, that $10,000 would just be added on to what you owe on your mortgage.
Okay.
So you would never be paying it directly back to the government. It would just be added on.
And say you decide to sell and you have equity in your home.
Correct.
Use that. Literally, the title company will just pay off that second mortgage with your equity. So it's pretty much no cash out of your pocket.
Exactly. And that's what I just don't want people to think all of a sudden they're going to owe 10 grand.
Yeah, no.
So it doesn't work that way.
And it's, I mean, especially living in Florida, I personally feel no matter where you're buying in Florida, I mean, obviously the beach areas are even more prime. Like we're the third fastest growing metro area in the United States.
Ooh, fun fact.
And then we're the first fastest growing county in Florida.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Lee?
Yeah, Lee County.
Dang.
Fastest growing county in Florida.
Not shocked by that.
So it's like people buying their homes here. When you sell, you're almost guaranteed to have equity.
Oh,
obviously,
sure.
you got you have closing costs to pay, realtor fees. So obviously depends. You're going to have equity no matter what. It just depends on how much. So more than likely, using this program, you would be able to pay it back.
Oh yeah,
without having to come out of pocket.
For sure, I would say 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
There's always a one-off. But,
so I want to ask too. I had another question. Someone asking about it. I know you're capped a certain percentage. Like, say, example, we're negotiating a contract and I want to negotiate the seller to pay some of my buyer's closing costs. I do believe that's maxed at like 3.5% that you can get towards closing costs. Does that affect how much, does those counteract? You're getting the money from the hometown heroes?
So it would,
like you'll be capped somewhere. I think it's maybe 6%. I don't know if I'm right, but.
So technically that's a great question. And honestly, what we would end up doing is taking the money from the Hometown Hero program and putting it all towards your down payment. So that way your loan amount would be less, it's basically like a principal reduction.
Yeah,
so, and that in turn would make your overall mortgage payment less. And then we would take the seller credits to handle the closing costs, as long as it covered all of it, of course.
Yeah, because I'm assuming that's, because for example, there's certain new home builders that allow you use my title company, use my mortgage company. We pay your closing costs, and then it's like, then you're doing the Hometown Heroes, but that's a lot of money. I feel like there's only so much as a mortgage lender or broker that you're going to allow for, so I don't know. I could be wrong, but I think they're probably capped somewhere.
It does cap somewhere. No, you're correct. I would have to look at the exact guidelines to get that information, just because I've never had that scenario.
Because this is such a new program too. It's like we're both learning.
But no, that's a great question, honestly. And I mean, it's so easy to find information with this program because I have a contact that I email constantly, and she literally points me to exactly where I need to read. So anything I don't know, like little tiny nuances for like that, for example, if I had that loan scenario, I'd be like, hey, here's my scenario. What's the cap?
Perfect. Well, that's something we can answer for that listener. Next one or something. Yeah.
I got it. I'll make a mental note. I'll write it down in a second. But no, on those like along the lines of new builder. Help me.
New construction
and builders is what I was literally trying to get out of my mouth. Let me take a sip of coffee. My old lady wrist.
By the way, this dirty chai, the pumps is perfect. 5 pumps.
Good. Okay, good. I'm glad you like it.
Yeah.
I was like, I hope that's not too much for a small.
No, it was amazing. It's amazing.
Good. I actually was talking to someone, it was a couple weeks ago, and she was saying that, and this is not a pooping on builder mortgage loan officers at all. But sometimes we have found, and this is not the first time this has happened, but we have found that these builders will offer you, like you said, we're going to cover closing costs. We're going to offer you this, that, and the other. So 9 times out of 10, though, they will not pair that with a down payment assistance program. So they will not write with the Hometown Hero program. So your mortgage company literally needs to be registered to do DPA loans, which is down payment assistance loans. And then you have to take and or bond loans. And then you have to take a special course to then certify you to do these programs.
Got it. All right. That's where it makes sense then.
A lot of the times these builders are not going to be doing any of that because the reality is this. They are going to give you money.
Yeah, they're already giving you money.
Out of their pocket because they're already going to make money on the house and with the mortgage. So they're not trying to help you even further.
No, that makes total sense.
But I will tell you, if there are situations where, there's a couple builders that we do have personal relationships with. Giovanni knows the sales managers. If their loan officers are having trouble calculating your income or are having issues qualifying you, because I have found that sometimes there are certain situations, especially medical professionals, they have the way that they're paid, especially if they work night shift or things like that. There's different differentials that they get. There's different overtimes they get, and it's not just standard base pay. So a lot of the times, these loan officers are not very up to date on how to calculate difficult income.
Yeah.
So that would actually
dealt with that.
So that will actually they will tell you that you do not qualify, and I know it happens at banks as well. So they will tell you don't qualify, but then you come talk to me and I'm like, wait, let me see your end of year pay stub last year and the year before. Let me look. And, we're able to piece things together to actually get you more income because you are paid that money.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not in the form of a base pay.
Yeah.
So all of that to say, if they can't qualify you, what's really cool is since we have a working relationship with some of these builders, we will take over the file and that client will still get that 2% or whatever they were offering for closing costs. And then we could pair it with the Hometown Hero program.
Oh, that's cool.
So we have that working relationship where like, hey, we're going to take over this file, but you need to honor what you said you give the client. We're able to qualify them to buy your house. And
like, do you want it to sit longer? Or do you want to, let's work together here.
Exactly. And like, we're not here to do other loan officers' jobs either.
No.
So it's like, we'll take the file, we'll handle it, but you just need to hold up your end of the bargain of what you said you give the client.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We've had that happen before.
That's awesome. So. Okay. Because I'll tell you, I've, obviously, work with my preferred mortgage people like you, or, I always give them, a couple options because if something doesn't work out, it's like, it falls on me, or they see it as falling on you. But I've had buyers where we go look at a new construction and they get caught into those closing costs. And I always feel like it's probably hidden, and it's hidden in there somewhere where you're getting it, but they're getting it back in some sense, but it makes it affordable out of pocket. But it's I've had it be a nightmare. Like you said, it's like they aren't used to working difficult incomes. I had someone with multiple incomes, and one of them, she was a social media influencer, and it would show the money going into her account as payroll. And they were like, we can't use it. Was just, they made it so complicated. I'm like, what else do you need? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, she makes a lot of money, her credit's great. Like, what's the problem here? And it was very frustrating because too, it's like, I don't have a relationship with them. So it's like I could pick up the call and just your phone and just like, all right, let's, figure this out or whatever and have a rapport together. But, those other mortgage people, it's like they don't even want to communicate with the buyer's agent. It's
because it's a mill. If you think about it, they're fed leads. They're told they have X amount of metrics and time to get certain things done. So it's not so much that it's a client like a client and mortgage professional relationship. It's not even a relationship. It's like you're a number to them, and they're just trying to push you through to the next step in the process, because basically they're being graded on how quickly they move people through the system and how quickly they close these loans. So it's not about the relationship. It's not about
and that's so frustrating to me because I'm all about relationships.
Well, that's how you build referrals. I mean, relationships are important, and that's why we really focus on our customer service.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys do great on that.
I mean, it's important. I know. Okay, so fun fact: I bought. Throw people under the bus. Sorry.
Make them bleep.
Can you bleep me out?
I'll try. You can cut that part out. I bought fruit. Never mind.
I'll start that again. And you just cut out that segment. So, fun fact. I bought through a builder in 2020, and they were offering, this obviously was before the Hometown Hero program and everything, but they were offering great incentives for closing costs and everything like that. I will tell you though, that was the worst process that I had to go through, like to get approved for this loan, because it was just me. And I had my state crime lab income, and then I also had direct sales. So I used to sell Rodan and Fields. I still have it on the side. Like I have, repeat clients that I'll just keep my account open for. Yeah. But basically, they were using all that income, but they had forgotten to calculate that I had student loans. So they forgot to associate, because I wasn't paying on, my government ones. They literally forgot to charge me a monthly payment, because you have to. So basically with an FHA loan, it's 0.5% of whatever you owe, like your balance. That's what you can use for the monthly payment if it's not being paid on. They had forgotten to do that. So then I didn't qualify. And then I did qualify. And then I didn't qualify. So we literally went back and forth three times with
oh my gosh,
qualified, not qualified. I'm like, what do I need to do to get this done? Nobody could tell me. So I ended up like reducing some credit card balances, things. I was able to figure it out because who I would call? Giovanni. And I feel bad because obviously, and I told him, I said, I would go with you, but I need this extra cash.
Yeah, that's,
and like, if I could do it differently, I mean, obviously now I'm in a different position and I'm like, no, I'm not going through a builder ever again. Like, I'll pay the higher interest rate. No, I won't do it. Because like, it was so stressful.
It is like traumatic having like home buying is. Yeah.
That was my experience, Gibby. So when I walked into this industry, I literally made it my mission that I don't want anyone to feel the way I felt. I want them to understand okay, this is what the process is.
Educate.
This is what we got to do. This is why I'm asking you for this. This is what this looks like. And like every step of the way, I want them to like understand why we're doing what we're doing. So by the time we get to the closing table, they're like, that wasn't that bad.
I know.
You know, oh, there's a couple hiccups, but like, oh, you know, things happen. Like people are so much more understanding when you just explain why and let them know, hey, I got this. I'll be upfront with you. This is what this looks like. Here's where we're going. Here's what we're doing.
Communication's key. And it's like what I've learned, like bad news does not get better with time. Like, you know, if something's going on, like just because you'll sit there and sulk in it and it's like, pick up the phone, like, hey, you know what, this is what's happening, but I'm going to figure it out, you know?
Exactly.
But it's like, I've made it too. Like I love working with first time home buyers. A lot of people, you know, people have their certain niches. I love it because I love to educate. I love the excitement. I love like, you know, it's like it will teach you and I will try to make it as smooth of a process as possible. And like me, I'm not a pushy realtor. It's like I will give you all the facts and anything I possibly can. Absolutely. So then you can decide what is best for you, you know? Absolutely. And it's like, it's so important, like you educating them on the steps of the mortgage process and, hey, we have a hiccup, but I'm going to figure it out. We got it. Don't worry about it.
There usually is a way.
Except sometimes, like when I say like, like bad news doesn't get better with time. I had a client, he was on a cruise where I was the listing agent for his home, got under contract. And it was just after that, like our 2+ year like thing where it was like houses were on the market for 2 days and they were under contract. So we're just getting out of that window and he built a new construction and then we were putting it back on the market. And we're hitting like 30 days on the market. And I'm like, you know, I'm getting a little anxious because, you know, it's like that's having to reprogram my brain. Like this is normal days on market, you know, and sellers aren't used to that. They're like, is everything okay? And so anyways, we're coming up to the closing day. He goes in and signs early, is going on a cruise. The deal falls apart the day before closing.
No.
Yeah.
What happened?
He was working with a credit union. I won't say the name. The buyer was, and yeah.
Yeah, period.
So me, it's like when as a listing agent, you know, I like to kind of screen the buyer through the lender just to like, if I'm going to help my seller make an educated decision like that to be comfortable choosing this offer, I'm going to call the lender and be like, hey, is everything cool? Like, just want to know, like, does everything look good from now from your standpoint? I call him. He waits till, it was a Friday, wait till Monday to call me back. He calls me and I answer. I'm like, hey, and I'm like talking. He's like, yeah, like so short with me. It's like, you know, I don't really like to communicate with listing agents because it's kind of a conflict of interest. So, you know, you're going to have to refer your questions to the buyer's agent. And I was like, what? Like, we're all a team here. Like, come on, like that's ridiculous, you know? So from the get-go, I felt uncomfortable. Yes. So it turned into a point where it was like the appraisal got ordered. And he told me, like, I said, hey, give me a heads up, you know, just so, you know, let me know when you've ordered it. So I know when the appraiser calls, like, I'll look out for the phone call. Cause sometimes they'll give them a phone number wrong by 1 digit or so. I've had it happen where it's like the appraiser says they're calling me and leaving me voicemails and I'm not getting them. So I like to know, like, let me know when you order it. And then if for some reason it hasn't come in a couple of days, I'll let you know, like, hey, follow up with this. And he said it's been ordered. I'm like, okay, well, it's now been 4 business days. I haven't heard anything. And he writes me, he goes, I am tired of your attitude. Ever since the first day I called you, I feel like you have something against me, or you're just, and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm just like trying to get this deal done. Like, and they said they wanted to close in like 20 days. I'm like, we're running out of time here. So it turns out he scheduled the appraiser and she went out to the home thinking it was another builder. So she thought she had the door code. Didn't. It was, so literally, and the appraisal was due back that night. She calls me at 10 o'clock, like, hey, I went out to the house and realized it wasn't the builder I thought, so I didn't have the code. I'm like, this is exactly why I've been trying to, like, you know, like,
let me do my job.
Save everything from burning. So anyways, get the appraisal back. Everything's fine. And then 2 days before, the day before closing, the lender literally sends the buyer a letter saying that he did not qualify, doesn't explain anything, and stops answering everyone's phone calls. And I'm sorry. And my seller was on a cruise. I'm like, I am not calling him and ruining his cruise. Like, he literally just got on yesterday. Like, absolutely not. So that was the time where I'm like, bad news does not get better with time, but in this instance it is. It'll ruin your entire trip. So he gets back and I'm like, hey, so the deal fell through, but I think I might have saved it. The buyer got him to another lender, and I called and talked to her, and I'm like, I already felt instantly better. And she's like, I've been doing this a long time. I've worked with these people before. Like, I'll have it done in 15 days. But made it happen. We closed like 2 weeks later, but oh my God, like horror story. And that's why it's like, it's important to know what lenders, who your mortgage broker is, who you're using, like have some kind of like a rapport with them. Like if you're on the phone with them and you're not comfortable, like there's a sign, you know?
Yeah.
And this agent, like he had just moved down here, not saying anything bad about people moving down and working, but he just didn't have a good network here. And me, I'm all about what state you're buying in, what community, like use a local person, a local lender. Like this guy was up in northern Florida somewhere, and it was just like, you know, use someone local. Like I feel like they take, you know, a lot of pride and, you know, supporting local businesses and just supporting community. And it's just like, you know.
Right. And we know the market. We do this every single day. And, you know, that's the difference between like a credit union or a builder or in general.
Yeah.
Our specialty is mortgages. So we literally have to be good at what we do. Otherwise, we would have no realtor relationships. We would have, you know, our business is referral based. So we have to be good. Nobody's feeding us anything, you know? So it's one of those things where it's like, definitely pick a specialist in, you know, mortgages.
Like don't pick Joe Schmo like 700 miles away.
Not that, and like rocket more. Like, you know, I've heard horror stories also. Like I get it. Oh, they offer cheaper rates and this, that. And I'm like, okay, so maybe they might be a little bit cheaper, but the reality is you get what you pay for.
Absolutely.
And it's
always.
like, if you're looking, you know, maybe you have really straightforward income and you're like, no, they've done it before. It'll be fine. It's like, okay, then you know what? You're welcome to go that route. But if you come to us, we're going to be very competitive and very comparable in price, but we're going to make sure that we get it done and you're going to have access to me.
We're making it a smooth process, enjoyable at as much as it can be, you know?
Exactly. You're going to know that you can come to this office and sit down and have a cup of coffee if you have questions or need help signing documents. You're going to be able to call me on a Saturday. If you're like, I'm so confused. I don't know how to sign this or do this or what does this mean?
You call one of those and they're not open on weekends. They close at 5 o'clock. You know, they're done.
Exactly. So it's like, you know, when you make it's like an investment in who you're working with, and it matters because it's going to actually get you from point A to point B to point C in a smooth, consistent, and clear manner instead of you know,
having like 7 hands in one pot, and that's what you get with a lot of those places too. It's like. Well, I've been working with this guy, but now this girl has entered the chat room.
Like, who's this?
And then this guy has now entered the chat room. Like, I don't know. Like, there are a lot of people trying to understand one file. And it's like, if you're not all communicating, something's getting messed up.
No, it's so bad. Yeah,
like
so
3 weeks in, now you're meeting somebody new. Here you are. Like, I'm going to have her join in on the emails now. Like,
and then you're like, oh, wait, you never calculated income, which should have been step 1 when we pre-approved you. Oh, you mean you didn't look at any income docs? Cool.
Great.
That's going to be fun.
Like, so I've just paid for like inspection, appraisal, all that. I don't even know if I qualify.
Exactly.
Cool.
So I'm like, that's
now my escrow's at risk. Fantastic.
Like, wow, great. Are we still in the contingency period? Oh, you didn't read that either? Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, that's you know, one of those things where that's why local matters. So.
Yeah, I agree. It's just, you know, it's nice to be able to call, like, you know, me to be able to call you up and be like, hey, like, hi, first of all, hi friend. And second of all, like, what's happening? Yeah. And I'm gonna be crazy again and check it just because we are very new.
We're new here.
Woohoo! Still going. I could imagine we were just sitting there for like 30 minutes just talking to each other. Not that I mean, I love talking to you, but this would have been very pointless. Like, great. You know what? Let's just start next week.
Like,
let's just go drink.
That's it. We're going to have some wine.
Oh, man. We're doing good. But yeah, again, it makes it so much smoother when you're working with someone that really does care about their career and they enjoy doing it, and
absolutely,
like they want to see the excitement and see you succeed. Like you're not just another number. You're like, you know, it's like
I'm here for it. I'm invested. I'm excited that you're purchasing your first home. Like I'm coming to your closing with a gift because I want to celebrate this moment with you because we made this journey together.
Oh yeah, and it's like if it weren't for, you know, it's like it's a big circle. Like I couldn't do it without my clients. I couldn't do it without my mortgage person. I couldn't do it. It's just like, it's awesome. And again, it's like being referral based and all that. It says a lot. People, they know how well you work. So it's like building a referral based business. That someone is recommending you to somebody that is going to get the job done.
Right.
They trust you. They've been through it before. So yeah, but
that's my favorite.
Man, I have so many horror stories, but we can dive into. We have plenty of episodes to dive into those. I can't spill the beans all in one. Like even that one, I'm like having like PTSD thinking about like all the amount of awful things that happened during that transaction.
Yeah, no, I feel I
it was absolutely insane to a point where even the buyer's agent was CC'd on some of the emails. He's like, he called me. He's like, I cannot believe how he's speaking to you. I'm like, I am like dumbfounded right now, like absolutely dumbfounded. And all I could get was a 1-800 number, no manager, no nothing. It was like, and I get one of his coworkers, and he's like, yeah, and it was just like, nobody wants to help. Like, let's just get this done.
That's the thing. Yeah, nobody wants to help because there's nothing riding on it. There's no passion, there's no relationship. It's just
I'm sure they get paid, they get paid probably a salary plus whatever. It's like, I'm still getting paid my salary. So I don't feel like dealing with this anymore.
Basically, it's one of those things where it really does, matter with who you work with. And I know people say that all the time and it sounds cliche, but it's not.
Oh, it totally does.
It really does matter. Like if you are, if your hair, for example, if you go to a hairstylist and, they fry your hair because you found them on Craigslist and it was $30 for a highlight. I mean, what do you expect?
Or if you go sit in that chair and get your hair done for 2 hours and your hairstylist is a complete dud and just like whatever, like or sitting there it's uncomfortable. Like same with calling someone to work with them to help you buy a house, and it's uncomfortable the entire time.
Right. And you're just like, what is she doing to my hair? You're like, you found her on Craigslist. She's like, oh yeah, I do this part-time, and you're just like, oh my gosh, no wonder it's so cheap. I'm terrified now. Like, but I'm already stuck in this process and I don't know how to get out. It's one of those things.
Then they ruin your hair and then we're too nice to be like, no, I absolutely hate it. You're like, I love it. I love it so much. Right. Then go in your car and cry.
Exactly. And then you call somebody who's been in the business for however long, it doesn't even matter who's reputable, and they save your hair. Just like, what could save your deal?
I love it. Being female, we're like, you can relate hair,
It's true. I mean, you get what you pay for.
It's the worst experience ever, getting what you pay for going cheap on your hair.
Yes. Like, do not go to the store and try to dye your hair blonde. Like, I would not recommend it.
No.
Do not. No. Like, for sale by owner, same concept.
Dyeing your hair blonde is like going to a corporation to do your mortgage. Dyeing your hair blonde yourself. Shouldn't say dyeing your hair blonde, dyeing it yourself. Equivalent.
We have nothing against blondes here.
No. I don't even know what color my hair is, red, blonde, and brown.
Like, I
don't even know. So
like a mixture.
I'm like, I support all. It's all of them.
I love that. I'm like, no, dark and purple over here.
Yeah, but that's awesome. Yeah.
Oh, I just realized?
What?
We never finished talking about the Hometown Hero program.
We didn't? We did. I think we did a good chunk. We talked about. Oh, so let me ask you the loan limit. Sorry, not loan limit. Income. Do they have income limits like Lee County and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, in a nutshell, with the new program that's launching July 3rd, as long as your credit score is a 640, you work 35 hours or more a week at a Florida-based business. So meaning like you need to have a brick and mortar office here. Or if you work from home, that's okay, but your company needs to be based out of Florida. So I have to be able to look it up on Sunbiz and see it's a Florida-based business.
I love that.
And then we just need to prove that you work 35 plus hours a week. So those are the parameters for the new program for the person. But yes, there are also income limits and loan limits that they did just update for all counties in the state of Florida. So I know Lee and Collier are probably the two most common. So I actually wrote them down because I didn't want to mess it up.
I mean, that's a lot of numbers.
It is a lot of numbers.
I can relate after going through chemistry and leaving.
Yeah.
Too many numbers.
Literally. And I tend to sometimes flip numbers. I'm not dyslexic, but I do.
I think that's normal.
Yeah. I sometimes say it wrong or write it wrong. So I wrote it correctly.
And that makes a big difference. Saying 128,000 and not 182, whatever.
Exactly.
182,000.
So yeah, Lee County, the limit for income is 128,250.
Okay.
Collier's 149,700.
Okay.
And just to relate that, so because I know some people are like, well, what does that mean? Basically, if you and your spouse or you and your partner are on the loan together, or you are by yourself, a lot of the times I'm saying it's two people because the average person doesn't really make 128K a year. I mean, they might, but
yeah.
But for example, the question I get often is, well, can I add my spouse to the loan? And the answer is, as long as your income combined on the application is under the 128,250 or the 149,700 for those counties, you're good.
Yeah.
You just can't be over that.
Okay.
And then the loan limits they also raise them as well, meaning like what your mortgage loan amount could be, like the maximum, and it's different.
And I think it goes off of like whatever the median. They have a way to calculate it, like the average price of a home in the area or something. Yeah.
And so it's a little bit different than the guidelines of like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
Okay.
Same thing with FHA. But yeah, the limits are slightly different because they want the maximum amount that you can get from this program is $35,000.
Okay.
So I'm not that great at math, but let me do this real quick.
Me neither.
I should probably.
Like, this is the stuff they should teach us in school rather. Like, we have calculators, all right? We have them on our phones. Like, teach us how to, and we'll dive into that on other podcasts, but like teach us how to save and build our credit and get us to a point of living the American dream.
I would love to talk about that stuff too. Okay. 700. Real good at math.
We don't
I got it.
Be taught math in school. We got to calculate.
Yeah, I got it. So basically, if your loan amount was $700,000, that would be when you would be getting the $35,000.
Wow.
And so if you are, and you can get a loan amount that is greater than $700,000.
Yeah, it's just,
and so you're only going to get $35,000. Mm-hmm. That's your maximum that you will get from the program.
10,000 minimum, 35,000.
Exactly.
Max. Okay. That's great.
Yeah. So
that's a hefty loan limit, but I mean, it's kind of how things are right now with the home,
Yeah, I mean,
it's like to get an average, not an average home, but it's one that you don't have to do updates to or come out of pocket, remodeling or putting a new roof on. I mean, you're looking at, 400 plus, so yeah, I mean, that's awesome. 700.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So no, it's really good. They definitely did update the loan limits, which I love because, it was like, I believe it was like 420 before in Lee.
That's like almost impossible.
It was for an FHA loan, and it was a little
a
little rough because I had a lot of clients that were buying duplexes, and those obviously they wanted a nicer one, and the nicer ones are like 450, and by nicer I mean newer. Newer model.
Something you don't have to dump money into out of pocket to replace things.
So like basically an updated.
Man, we're gonna have to dive into that another podcast too. House hacking, buying a duplex.
That's what I'm buying.
Living in one side, rent out the other.
That's what I'm doing next, boo.
That's what I planned to do, and then I found my house with the guest house out back, which is practically the same.
It's the same concept. Yeah. I mean, I would consider that as well. Obviously, that's a great find. So
yeah, we'll have to dive into that.
I like it.
House hacking
for sure. But yeah, so I mean, if you come across more questions for the Hometown Hero program, I'm sure I will. I think that's the biggest thing right now for buyers. Yeah, and I'm like screaming it from the rooftops because I think it is such a good program. And I know sometimes people are skeptical because they're like, nothing is free in life, and I get that because technically this is not free because it will go back into the pot eventually. But the reality is, it is a solid program that you truly can qualify for.
It makes it a lot more financially affordable to
absolutely,
start having those assets and buying a home rather than paying someone else's mortgage and renting.
Absolutely.
And I get it. Some people, renting works for some people, but if you have the dream to buy, like, call one of us. We'll make it happen for you.
Absolutely.
It's like, I know both of us, we will work till, we
will get you on a plan.
Yeah. And it's just like, we will, like me, I know I do everything I possibly can to know that, I try, I try my best, every avenue, so it's
same.
You definitely don't give up.
No, I don't give up easy. I was like, if there's one thing I have, it's grit.
Oh yeah. I'm like, I will burn with this if I have to.
Literally, I was like, we ride it down. We definitely have the same personality when it comes to getting the job done, which I love.
It's like I like making people feel good. I love seeing people happy, and it's like I hate hurting people. I hate seeing
the The disappointment's
The
hard.
disappointment, like, it's just like, I love seeing the excitement. So it's like the last thing I ever want to do is see someone disappointed.
Yeah. And
So
for me, I love setting realistic expectations for people. I have found that the more knowledge that you provide, like, okay, these are the numbers, these are the facts, the more you can reel people into like actually understanding what they qualify for, what it looks like. And I have found a lot of first time home buyers that want this big, beautiful home, but they don't qualify for that yet. And it's not that they can't get that someday. I'm like, let's start here though. Let's reframe this. Like, this is where we're looking now, you know? And you don't know all that information until you sit down with somebody, have a conversation, and they explain what makes up a mortgage. They explain what a debt to income ratio looks like. They, you know, there's just certain things that people don't know, and they're like, I like that house. It's like, okay, but let's reframe your thinking into like, this is going to be my 5-year plan. You know what? And this is, and you're building equity, because like you said, it's hard not to build equity where we are. I mean, we're in a very desirable location. Yeah. So.
And two, it's like with your first home, I guarantee is not going to be your forever home.
Yeah.
Why do you need all the bells and whistles? Like, get into something that you're not married to your mortgage.
Right.
You know, like, you have some flexibility. You can still enjoy yourself. You're not paying your absolute max on your mortgage. Like, buy something that you know that you may plan to sell in 3 to 5 years, and then, you know, use that equity to buy something else.
Exactly.
Like, just work your way up. Like, you don't need to have something, and maybe you can't afford something extravagant on your first.
Amazing. We'll make that happen for you too. I'm just
just saying, like, just people don't, you know, you don't need to max out on all the bells and whistles your first home, you know, and that's, it's just, you know, it's the reality of it, you know.
Yeah, and there can be non-negotiables, and that's fine, but they have to just be realistic in the price range that you're actually qualified for. And I think that's why it's so important to have a mortgage professional that, you know, you can have those conversations with, and paired with a real estate agent who's like, okay, I hear you. We're not going to find this in this price range. So like, let's you know what, let's shift gears. That might be a non-negotiable for future, but XYZ is what I'm seeing. Yeah. So how do you feel about, you know, and then you can kind of gear their portal more towards
for sure
things that they like, but also understand that they're not going to get.
And that's one thing I do. I'm always listening, and I've had buyers where they're like, these are my non-negotiables, and like from the get-go, like, and I know that's what they want, and then all of a sudden the next homes are selling me, it's like they've totally changed everything, and I'm like, all right, let's talk about this now, because you know, now I don't want you to settle. Like, let's revamp. Like, we've seen a few homes now. Like, now what's important? Like, write it down, because the last thing I will do is let you buy something that you're not going to be happy with.
Absolutely, yeah. And we don't want that for anybody.
Yeah.
It has to be something that you are happy with, but also realistic.
Yeah. Yep. So. And some of those things that you think you really need is, you don't really need them.
It's so true.
Yeah,
it's so true. But yeah, that's why I think it's so cool that we can sit down and do this, and I'm excited for this podcast. I mean, we're just winging it at this point, but we appreciate all the likes that we're gonna get, and the follows,
and the questions that are coming through.
That's another thing.
I've had so much about the hometown heroes, and you know, I know that there's a lot of other questions out there. Like, my motto, like with buyers, it's like, it's important to be in the know. Like, a lot of buyers just keep skating by this. Oh, I want to buy, but I don't know, and I don't know if I'll qualify. Like, get in the know. Like, call, you know, call us, call Alex. It's just like,
we'll sit down and talk. I mean, do you know how many meetings that I have with first time home buyers, and they're my favorite, by the way, as well. And I love it because we get to sit down and slow down, and they want to know, and I'm excited to share. I want to explain the process to them.
And it's just like, too, it's like I feel like people think it's so intimidating, but it's when you're working with people that really do care. It's like, you know what, hey, you know, and it could be too, you call and it's like, hey, you know what, we need to work on credit a little bit more.
Right.
You need to hold your job for, you know, X amount more months. There are things, but when you know, you have a plan now, like, hey, let's pay off a little bit of this debt. Let's pay off this credit card. You know, and then we'll be, so it's like, if you have it in your mindset, you want to buy soon, like, just call, you know?
There's no judgment. Trust. I've had people who are like, well, I'm embarrassed because I have a lot of debt. I'm this. And I'm like, there is no judgment here. Trust me. It's not about me being like, oh, what financial decisions did you not make? No, if anything, we're flipping the script and we're saying, hey, this is where we're at. Here's where we want to go. How do we get there? And that's what I'm a mechanism to help you get. I'm the catalyst to help you get from point A to point B. And there's never anything to be embarrassed about because I'm not in the business of judging. I'm in the business of helping you.
Yeah,
so that way
for sure.
You can obtain the things that, your heart desires and your goals and your dreams. So
yeah,
I always tell people that because I've had so many people tell me, oh, I'm embarrassed. I'm like, you do not need to be.
When I bought my first home, my credit score was absolute dog crap because of my ex. Like it was terrible. No, it is now. It doesn't bother me. Asked me then, it was just like it made me angry. But now it's like I'm doing great. It's great now. But then it was, my, I had cash and it was my saving grace. But my, it's like I was embarrassed as a real estate agent, like. Buying a home, because it's like, man, it's such a stigma around it. Like I should be, I'm a real estate agent. I should know better. And it's just like, everyone starts somewhere.
Everyone starts somewhere. Life happens.
Yeah.
People make poor choices. People hurt your credit. I mean, I had a lot of other debt from other people as well. I get it.
Yeah. And if people say they don't get it, they are lying.
Right. I was going to say, we've all
had hard times.
Something where we're like, ooh, never lending my credit to anyone. Fun fact, do not lend your credit to people unless you're married. Even then, questionable.
Same.
Even then, no, I'm just kidding. All the husbands' wives are like, should I not be co-signing? I'm just kidding.
Trust someone and have a financial tie with them because, man,
it is.
We both experienced doing that because we're just so empathetic and kind.
Right. And we've had to work on our boundaries. A lot of therapy.
A lot of therapy.
But for sure. Any questions that anyone has about the Hometown Hero program, you're curious about whether or not you qualify, you're curious if now's a good time to buy, I think it always is, but talk to your real estate agent. She'll give you all the metrics of why you should. I mean, I'm going to tell you should too, because the reality is rates are always going to be changing. They should be coming down. That's should be happening. We're going to see inflation because the Fed's going to keep hiking, and inflation should start to slow down, and usually rates follow. So a lot of people are saying we're going to see in the 5s again.
And I feel like once that happens, those bidding wars are starting again.
Well, that's the other thing. I've had those conversations with buyers who, they're like, well, I can afford, this house now. And I'm like, then you probably should get in while there's not 20 other offers up against yours.
That's the other thing I say is date the mortgage rate, marry the home.
Correct, because you can always refinance in the future. And I understand people are like, but then I have to pay closing costs again. It's like, okay.
You hopefully have equity in your home, and then that'll pay for it.
Right, exactly. Not just that. I mean, the reality is, do you want the home? Because
and over time, it'll save you money.
It will save you money, with interest.
Yeah, if you refinance, and it'll save you money long term.
So it's worth the money out of pocket, and you also do get discounts too. Like you already have your title policy, so they give you a discount with their title searches. You already have your survey. Typically, there's things you can save on, and we actually offer a program as well, where we're not going to charge you all the same fees that we charged you if you got your mortgage through us.
Oh, cool.
So you're going to save on a lot of money on closing costs.
Benefit
and we do that
of
on
a
purpose.
repeat client.
Yeah, we do that on purpose to say thank you for your business the first time around. We've helped you before. We have all your information. We're going to just push you through again and save you money where we can, because we appreciate the business.
So. I do that too for repeat clients. I discount, where I can, like commission or stuff like that. Yeah. So. For sure. It's to say thank you. Like, you made me money last time and you are using me again. We had a great relationship. I'm going to help you now.
Help you where we can, and I think I'm big on that as well, helping where you can.
Yeah. So, girl, I think
we nailed it.
We did good.
Thanks, guys, for listening.
Yeah. So we'll be doing real talk, real life, and real estate. Some days we may come in here and just
talk about
BS and complain and talk about our day and make it relatable. That's what
real life.
That's what we want it to be, is real life, and we'll talk real estate too. So
absolutely,
if you have questions and just
real estate questions, mortgage questions, life questions, we'll answer
all. And we'll keep it anonymous. Just kind of put it out in the pot for everyone to hear. But
cool.
Yeah.
Well,
cheers.
Cheers
Cheers to that.
To many more.
I wish this was wine, but this chai tea is pretty good.